Live from the Export Beer Garden studio, this is the Agenda podcast for Thursday the 25th of January 2024.
The Agenda, an alternative commentary collective podcast.
Every day I get the date wrong, Heath. Every single day I get the date wrong. And I'm starting to wonder why I persist with that as an intro.
I get the day wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
I always get the day wrong.
How often do you spend the day thinking that it's Friday and then find out about 2 hours into your day it's not?
Every Thursday.
Is there a worse feeling?
I know, it's shocking when it happens.
Yeah, it's like when
Sometimes, on the rare occasion you're on a Friday and you're labouring through on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's happened to me before, and I go, because something's been going on, whatever, and you go, hang on a minute, it's over.
It's Friday.
Yeah,
That's
it's
the
over.
week done.
Because we work bloody hard.
Yeah. Wait, I've just convinced myself it's Friday. It's not. It's Thursday.
Yeah.
We got one to come here, bowler. All right, and let's actually start with a bit of cricket as well, because the ICC Team of the Years for all of the different formats have been named. It should surprise no one that we haven't got too many people in the Test team. We haven't played a lot of Tests in 2023. None of any consequence either. In a year that had the Ashes, it was going to be tough for us to get anyone in the team.
So the only one that makes it is Kane Williamson.
Kane Williamson's the only one. And it's interesting to me that they've picked, I don't know what the criteria are, but they've picked it as an actual team. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They've got opener, Usman Khawaja, Karunaratne, and then Kane Williamson, Joe Root, Travis Head, Jadeja. Then they've got a wicketkeeper. Then we're into the bowlers. I think it's quite funny how they do that.
And it's interesting because they're not picking it to match up with an opposition or some conditions?
No.
So
this team will
you might change it. You might change this team.
That's a good point. So should they then divide it out by like a team to play at the subcontinent,
Yeah.
a team to play in England, a team to play in Australia?
Yeah,
because they'd all be very different teams. But it's all very like it's gone chalk. There's Stuart Broad, there's Mitchell Stark, there's Ravi Ashwin, Pat Cummins, Alex Carey. Just it's basically who you would think would be in there.
Yeah. It's a very good team. I mean the attack's pretty good. Cummins, Ashwin, Stark, Broad.
It would take the Pepsi Challenge with just about any other international team from years gone by. The only one that'd do it would be the McGrath, Warne, Muralitharan era.
Yeah,
you put that team in there.
Oh yeah.
Brian Lara, Tendulkar, like that. That would probably be the one that would get it. Onto the ODI Team of the Year again, pretty scratch. Daryl Mitchell is the only Kiwi to have made the ODI team. This is the T20 team. I'm just having a double check. No, this is the ODI team.
Yeah.
Daryl Mitchell, Coley, Travis Head, Shubman Gill, blah, 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 blah. I think, I've got to be honest with you, in a World Cup year, I feel like Rachin Ravindra a little hard done by there not to make the ODI team. But again, probably just not enough.
Yeah, like not enough not famous enough yet, I guess.
Yeah.
Finishing Rick Ravindra.
This one, though, is where it gets a little bit weird. The T20 series, the T20 Team of the Year, Mark Chapman is the only Kiwi to make it onto that team.
That surprises me.
Almost.
So what has Mark Chapman done?
Shocks me. Well,
I'd put Daryl Mitchell on there.
I know, and obviously it's a 2023 award, so we can't put Finn Allen in there, but he's going the right way to...
So is it because Mark Chapman can roll the arm over as well?
There's because of all of the runs that he scored. He did have a staggering average. It was somewhere around 40 last year in T20s, and he did a lot of his damage when we were in Pakistan last year.
Yeah,
Then
right.
there was also the untelevised Bangladesh series.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the thing with being a cricket fan, is when it's over in seas, like the difference between how much you care when they're playing at home compared to overseas. Like with the All Blacks, you care just as much when they're overseas as you do when they're at home.
Yep.
But with cricket, you're like,
Cricket doesn't travel.
No.
At all. Because it's the time difference is prohibitive, because for an All Blacks game, remember when they used to play in South Africa, even the Super Rugby games, you could conceivably get up at 5 a.m, get up at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
It's only 2 hours. But for a one-dayer, you're not staying up. I mean, I don't think anyone has stayed up for more overnight games of cricket than members of the ACC.
Yeah.
And we know how brutal that is.
Yeah, it is. I mean, even a T20 is a long time to be up for in the middle of the night.
Yeah, so I don't know. That one really stood out to me as being like, geez, Mark Chapman, okay.
What? I felt so sorry for him in that last game.
The last two.
Got the yips with the catching. It's like, and then you see one go up and you go, please. Oh no!
Oh,
and
no.
He's a really good fieldsman as well.
Yes,
and you just hope that's not the moment where he goes, I'm not a good fieldsman.
Yeah.
Because he's one of the he'd be one of the best fieldsmen in the team, wouldn't he?
I mean, Glenn Phillips would be number one.
Yeah, Glenn Phillips number one. Yeah,
by far, and then it'd be a long way back to just whoever else is still in there.
And now that you don't have Martin Guptill in there, who was the crack fieldsman.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Shout out to him, though. He's made the T20 Team of the Year. Hopefully that makes him a bit of bank at the next IPL draft. And Ravindra was the Emerging Player of the Year as well, which is...
You'd think we should start selecting him to play for New Zealand, the Emerging Player of the Year.
Yeah.
Here's an idea.
I dare say anyone else would.
Yeah. Is there something going on that I don't understand? Because even he's the future. So you want to get him as much time as it. I mean, they've done bad things to people like Martin Crowe and Brendan McCullum by pushing too early. But it's not like that. You're not putting him in against, debut against Australia, at the Wacker or something that he's had a few games that he's shown on the big stage. I feel like we need to have him in the team as much as possible.
And I've said this for a while now. I always think you should do what your opponent doesn't want you to do.
Yeah.
And no one wants to see Ravindra and Finn Allen coming at them at the top of a T20 innings.
No.
So why are we not doing that? Obviously we've got capable replacements. Well, not replacements, but we've got capable.
Is it just because it's hard to move things around with Devon Conway?
I think it's just way more political than we think it is, because we look at it and we go, okay, put this guy in over that guy. But then what we're not looking at is, okay, but this guy's getting paid more than this guy.
Yeah.
Does it fuck with the team dynamic? Is it but we know we're going to play this other guy down the track, so why are we going to change the team list now?
But how good would it to see Devon Conway come in at 5 or something?
Yeah. Oh, again, as a bowling team, I would fucking hate that. Imagine getting through.
Imagine getting through Kane Williamson,
Tim Seifert, Will Young, Finn Allen, and then you're like
ravishing Rick Ravindra, and then Conway comes out.
Yeah, and you've still got Phillips and Mitchell in the shed.
Yeah,
it's and Maths is probably out here. We've probably just named a 30-man team. But but I always thought that with Martin Guptill, when they always opening with him. Why do they never give him a good go at 5? Yeah,
I think he would have been a great. Mop-up batsman,
Yeah. I agree with you. I watched that man hit a ball out of the park at the Cape Tin.
Yeah.
So why not?
It's what it probably is way more comfortable than us, way more complex than us just sitting on our couch going, at the moment, we really like this guy, we want to see him play.
Yes, I think it is too. Staying with cricket as well, the first 4 days of the Aussie Test at the Basin have sold out.
How good.
The first, one of the days had... on the Saturday session, which I think was day 3, had sold out months ago, pretty much as soon as it was announced. I do feel like cricket being back on TV has a big part to play in this.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's made such a huge difference. Bless Spark, they did a great job, and Scotty J. Stevens and everything, but it was off in a corner. It was you not only had to be enough of a sports fan to have Sky, you also had to have Spark, which ruled out a lot. And I always found it difficult to go to the app and I don't know, it was too far down I don't know, for some reason, I watched less cricket when it was on Spark as a big fan than I'd ever watched.
It was just one step too far. If you're like, I'd like to watch the cricket game.
For a game you don't really care about, and you have to watch these games to start caring about them.
That's right. So
and then you start recognising the players and you care more, so you get over it. But if it's just on free to air, then it's on, and so you start to watch it and care about it. And I think if it stays on, Super Smash stays on free to air for a long time, it'll start getting bigger and bigger, and the games will start selling out.
It's, I think, the formula for success for Super Rugby as well.
100%, but never going to happen.
It'll never happen, and obviously you would have to convince the rights holders at the moment to just abandon it for no good reason. But
we were talking about this while we were sitting on the wharf of the Trinity Wharf Hotel out on the deck there, watching a aerobatics display by the
Black Falcons.
By the Black Falcons, and we were saying how amazing it would be. It would solve everyone's problems. Super Rugby's got a problem, and it's a
visibility problem.
It's a visibility problem, and it's also it's a visibility problem and a lack of fandom because kids don't know all the players. Like when I was younger, I knew everyone and every team in Super Rugby, and I'm a commentator now, and some of them seem kind of obscure to me now. But it's once again it's hidden away. But the problem with that, so if rugby could take the hit, if they wanted to grow big Super Rugby back, they'd have it on free to air, and it would come up really quickly.
Yeah,
but there'd be less money, I guess, and as we said, it would involve Sky agreeing to rip up their contract and go out of business.
Yeah.
So
Which doesn't seem in their interest.
Yeah. And I think the next step for rugby, unfortunately, is going to be to go on the app. So everything's on an app, like a New Zealand rugby app. Like, they've got that app now rather than free to air.
Well, yeah, you're so right. Like when I was a kid, Ron Cribb was my favourite player for a bit.
Yeah.
And I think if there was a Ron Cribb caliber player for the Crusaders right now, no kid would even know who that is.
No.
But because it was on free to air, and the amount of times I fell asleep at my grandparents' place on the couch listening to Nisbo, free to air. But yeah, you're right. Again,
what Winston Peters a few years ago when he was trying to get in, that was his thing, and it got shut down by the other projects. But he said, legislate that rugby, because in his eyes was vastly funded by the government in terms of the fields and a lot of stuff is put into that. It had to be free to air.
It's in the public interest.
In the public interest, and he had some money, wanted to put more money to New Zealand rugby to put it free to air. And everyone's like, "You're crazy! Blah, blah, blah. You're trying to stop bloody progress and blah."
Yeah,
but it was actually a freaking brilliant idea.
Well, it's a great idea. There's only one sport in the country that has a minister, and it's not rugby. It's horse racing.
Yeah, and that's Winston Peters.
And it is Winston Peters. But I just and again, because it's so heavily sort of government funded and supported, and
what they should do is free to air and compulsory, as everyone says, afternoon games.
What about
weekend afternoon games?
I've just thought of an idea. In the NBA, they have local area blackouts for home games. So if you live in San Antonio, when the Spurs are playing at home, they black it out in San Antonio to force you to go to the game. I'm saying the opposite of that. Free to air in the region. So if the Crusaders are playing, Canterbury gets to watch them for free. Everyone else has to pay to watch still. But then you're growing the game in that area, the fandom in that area. You still get to keep a slice of the pie because, if the Blues are playing the Crusaders in Christchurch, Auckland has to pay to watch it. I think that could be a little split revenue model.
Yeah, with the NFL, you had to sell 80% of your tickets for before it was allowed to go on TV in the area. That's why the Rams ended up leaving Los Angeles, because they were in the Coliseum that was 110,000 people. And
LA don't give a shit.
And so it was never making, so it was 70,000. They were selling 70,000 and it wasn't on the screens. Yeah. So then it was like a circular thing. They kept getting less crowds because no one in LA could watch the games.
Spiral.
So then they left and then they came back and built a $5.5 billion stadium. Now they're in SoFi and it's only 70,000 and it's sold out every time, with fans from other franchises.
If people around the lower South Island, around the Wellington catchment area, were able to watch that game, we wouldn't have scenes like we saw last Super Rugby season where the cake looks awful with no one
horrific.
in there. And it would start packing out again. Kids would be keen to go. You get to take a kid to footy pack going again, $20 for a ticket and some chips and a little book.
But if I know one thing about the New Zealand Rugby Union, they're not into taking the kind of risks you need to save the game.
No. So
there you go.
Anyway, time for a quick break and we'll be right back to mop up the headlines of the day. All right, Matty, just a couple of little bits of headlines that I'd like to mop up here that aren't really to do with much. The first is some good news out of the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian football team has advanced to the knockout stage of the Asian Cup for the first time ever.
Wow, that's like when, Afghanistan do well at cricket. You're like, wow. I mean, you've got some stronger headwinds than, the All Whites.
I'm half on that train, and then I'm half on. You guys have got a bit going on at home. Should you really be over here doing this? But anyway, they take on Israel in the next round of the Asia Cup. And one last thing, this is the most Christchurch thing I've ever seen in my life. The Foo Fighters played down there at the god-awful stadium the Crusaders play at.
The Pop My Cherry
Stadium. And there's a video doing the rounds of a man standing on someone else's shoulders playing air guitar. And the air guitar that he's decided to use is his own dick.
Yeah.
And this video is going around at the moment. It's mostly in threads because it'll get pulled down off social media.
I think Radio Hodaki put it up with a bit of blurring.
Yes.
But the blurring made it way worse because without the blurring, he's just using his dick as the strings.
Yes.
But without the blurring, it's like a guy with his one hand out, standing on someone's shoulders, jerking off.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Often blurring makes things more offensive.
Unnecessary censorship.
Yeah. But good balance standing up there. He's not a small unit, like standing up there on his friend's shoulder. And I've watched whole videos up there for about a minute. We talked on the Matt and Jerry breakfast show on Radio Hauraki this morning with an eyewitness that was just about 5 people in front.
Wow.
And he said the guy had something, but he didn't have it wasn't too much, it wasn't too little that he's working with. But he said it brought a hell of a lot of joy. He said that Dave Grohl didn't really react because he was singing, but he said that there was Pat Smear was giggling, and I think Josh Freese on the drums was also was giggling because it was a completely nude guy.
I mean, they've had a long career, 30 odd years now.
Yeah.
Do you reckon that's the first time they've seen that?
Yeah, because there's a couple of, you got to get a couple of ducks in a row, don't you? There, you got to get up, you got to be able to balance on the shoulders. You got to get nude in the crowd.
It's impressive core strength,
and you got to get up there, and then you've got to stand there and you got to play your willy.
Yes.
Yes. There's a lot. So there's only so many people that want to get nude.
Yes.
And there's only so many people that can also stand on shoulders, and there's only so many people that know someone strong enough to take that, so
it's a bizarre convergence of talents that guy's had.
But I heard a rumor, and I hope it's not true. Someone texted in our show today and said that security found him and threw him and the guy that he was holding him up out.
I believe.
And I was like, what is the crime?
A succulent Chinese meal.
Yeah, this is Democracy Manifest here. Because it's not like a game where the streaker's getting on the field and getting in the way.
No.
And also, were they marching ladies out of AC/DC concerts who were getting their breasts out for years?
No.
I mean, come on, what are we doing here? Is there anyone at a Foo Fighters concert that didn't find that funny?
That's the key point.
What is the damage being done here? What is the particular crime?
Yeah, public indecency or public exposure or whatever, sure, when you're just out in the public, but this is a Foo Fighters concert.
Yeah.
This is a rock concert. By the way, in Christchurch.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to find too many people that were upset by that.
No. So I mean, you got to keep that into. You got to. I think the punishment far out exceeds the crime.
Yeah.
Marching someone for bringing joy.
And if a man can't air guitar his own dick at a Foo Fighters concert in Christchurch, then where can he?
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I mean, that guy will never get another opportunity.
No.
But also the other thing is half the people there have got a dick. Like, it's not news.
I would say more than half at that concert.
Yeah, that's right. It's probably 70% of people have dicks, and probably of the 30% remaining that don't, let's say 90% of those have done a bit of work around dicks in their time. They haven't been totally isolated from dicks. It's not a unicorn event. Like, it's something people know a lot about. Like, there's a dick.
Yeah.
We've all seen them.
Sure.
Many of us have them. It's just an odd thing to get marched for.
Yeah.
And also, we're born with them, and the actual weird thing is to have clothes on. If aliens came down here, they go, okay, those chimps, that makes sense.
Yeah.
That baboon with the big purple ass, I get it. Mm-hmm. Why are those upright bald chimps, why are they put clothes on them? Why are they covering up? What's wrong with them? They're the weird ones.
Yeah. What are they doing?
Why are we doing this?
Have they no shame?
Yeah.
No, I completely agree with you. I just thought that was the most Christchurch thing that I've ever seen.
That was great.
In my life. It was more Christchurch than the Black Panther under a Norwest arch. It's the most Cantabrian thing I've ever seen. Thank you very much for your time, Maddie. We're going to knock the podcast on the head now, but just in a couple of seconds, we're going to bring in Luke Kemeys from the Boys Get Paid club to explain the Karaka Millions and how that whole thing works.
Oh, that's great, because I just saw that there on the sheet I've got in front of me, and I thought, I hope you don't want me to know anything about that. All right, then. All right.
Quick ad break, and then we'll be back with more of the podcast. All right, well, this Saturday it's going down at Ellerslie. It's the Karaka Millions. We've got a punt-along going live, and we're going to be down there at the track. There's a bit of a pre-game as well at the sweatshop. And because I don't know nearly enough to explain it to you, I've brought in the big guns today. Luke Kemeys from Boys Get Paid. G'day, Luke. How you getting on, mate?
Yeah, really good, mate. Stress levels are starting to rise a little bit, but I'm not shaking yet, which is a good sign.
Yeah, because you had the big event up at the Sky Tower last night. We'll get to that in a second. But first, for people that don't know, and I'm saying that as if I'm one of the people that does know. I don't. What is the Karaka Millions? Where did it come from? Why is this such a big event?
Yeah, so this is one of our biggest race days of the year. And basically, horses that get sold at the Karaka Sales Complex, so that's the annual sales, which horses get exported all around the world, but the horses that get retained here and trained by our New Zealand trainers, they try and qualify their horses for $2 million races. So there's a 2-year-old race and a 3-year-old race. Now there's a 4-year-old race as well.
Oh, shit.
And basically the race night is just condensed. It's 6 races, so it's sharp and fast, and it is in the evening, so people are usually in pretty good spirits by it. It's a twilight, and you go along, and it's sort of the who's who of racing, and it's just fast and exhilarating, and there's a lot of prize money, so you've got the best of the best competing on the night.
And so all of the horses across the entire day were bought at the same sales?
Not all of them for all of the races, but the main races, the $1 million races, the 2 and the 3-year-old, have to qualify coming through the New Zealand sales. Yeah. So interestingly, as an example, the Aussies can come over here and buy our horses, but they can then go and race them in Australia, and they'll qualify, and then they can bring them back. So there's an Australian trainer that's bringing one of their horses back to try and mop up the prize money.
To try and take $1 million out of our local economy.
100%.
And take it back over there.
Yeah.
And so there's the 2 big races, and they're both worth $1 million. Those are the 2-year-olds and the 3-year-olds. Is that right? And they'll be the last on the card. Is that right?
Yeah. So the 3-year-old's now worth 1.5 million, but you're right, it has been worth $1 million, but they've bumped it to 1.5 this year. Now there's a 4-year-old $1 million race as well. So the night just keeps getting bigger. But those 3 races are basically stacked in the back half of the card. Yeah.
And last night, as I mentioned before, you were up at the Sky City, and I'm seeing it all over social media this morning that the barrier draw was done last night. And for people who don't know, that's what gate your horse comes out of.
Yeah.
Obviously, hugely influential into the odds and how well your horse is going to go. You want to be drawn more or less closer to the fence, don't you?
Yeah, especially for a 2-year-old, because they're still learning their craft. So they say there's a saying in racing, like rail is a 2-year-old's best friend.
Right.
And basically that means, if you can get down to the rail, then you're going to be running. It's got a guide of like how to get home to the finish line, sort of thing. But some of them are got a bit more ring craft, and they can go down the outside and boom home.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you've got a horse that's good enough, you're going to throw it in that race. But there'll be horses in there that really probably can't live up to some of the others. So.
Yeah, but it's good experience.
Yeah.
So the barrier draw is a massive event. Last night, it was a big black tie event, wasn't it? The who's who, I presume, were down there. And then as they were being picked, were they being projected onto the side of the Sky Tower? Is that what was happening?
Yeah, it was a who's who, and then us. But yeah,
who's that?
Yeah. Like, what the fuck are these guys doing here again? Basically, they were projecting the barrier draw for each of the horses in those $1 million races up onto the Sky Tower. So most people driving past would have been like, "What is on the side of the Sky Tower?" But it's really exciting for racing, and there's been a fair bit of exposure to it.
I don't think I've ever seen anything projected onto the side of the Sky Tower before.
No, I was interested in how it was going to come up as well. It was way better than what I thought it was. And I swear, when I walked out there as well, I saw a shooting star.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a huge omen.
I think so.
What horse was projected onto the side of the Sky Tower?
No, they were just about to start.
Oh.
Yeah, so I don't know what it means yet, but I'm sure I'll come up with a meaning for it. Maybe,
Mate,
yeah.
If it was showing one particular horse, then you saw a shooting star. That'd be
That.
the hugest omen.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't know, not since Jesus' birth have we seen such a clear omen.
So either I saw it or I'm really tripping out already ahead of the weekend.
Yeah, could be either way. Because you've got the Punters Club going for the races this weekend. I checked, it's on the TAB account. If you want to go and have a look on your app right now, you can see it's one of either going to the promos tab, or it might be sort of spinning across that top carousel.
Yeah.
I see it's up over $500,000.
Yeah, we're at about 650,000. So I think we'll get to about 1.5 mil, I hope. That's the target.
That's ridiculous. And so how does it work? So because when it pops up, it's showing odds of like $1.01.
Yeah.
And then you can buy shares in that. How does that whole thing work?
Yeah, it is confusing if you don't sort of know the background. So it looks like you're putting, say, $100 in and you're going to win $101. But basically, it's just the way the tab system is set up. So they have to have some sort of odds. It should just say like $1 for dollar. So I think that confuses a lot of people. But basically, there's an option, just like if you're betting on sport, on the WARs, or whatever you're having a crack at, you select that option. And the option is to be a part of the BGP Punters Club. Now, that money gets pooled all together. And then we get all of that money just before the first race. And we bet that on behalf of everybody. And at the end of the night, win, lose, basically then the TAB refunds you your percentage of the entire pool. So say you put $100 in, it'll show that your return is $101 or something. You think, what the hell is going on here?
That's just a placeholder, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so say we double the kitty, we turn the 1.5 million into 3. After the last race, you'd have $200 back into your account.
Yeah, right. That's presuming you guys don't pocket the 3 mil and skip the country.
Yeah, 100%. Have a chopper waiting. Let's go straight to the airport.
Let's get out of here. That's incredible. So you guys are punting on the races throughout the day. It's not just on the main races.
So we've only got the 6 races to play with. So it's
Yeah.
pretty tricky because that's a lot of money to try and bet into 6 races. And in one of the races, there's a $1.30 favourite. So it's almost like, righto, the All Blacks are playing Argentina.
Yeah.
What are you going to put this money on? Well, and so then people were like, oh, don't just put it on the All Blacks. That's boring. So you got to sort of find something, right? And then the last race of the night, or one of the later ones, there's a $1.60 shot as well. So those
Yeah.
two are sort of, we've got to find a crafty way to play those to get some excitement going.
$1.30 is more like playing Namibia, really. Isn't
Probably
it?
right. Yeah, well, these days, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So-
bad example.
And so we're going to have a bit of a punt along going on social media as well, because we'll be out there at the track. I'm going to come down as well.
Awesome.
Provide absolutely no insight at all. And so what, can people get in touch? How can people... basically, what are you basing your bets on? How are you picking them? And can people get involved in that?
Yeah, easiest way to get involved is to download our app, so the Boys Get Paid app, and that's got all of the details, and that'll ping you a notification each time we put a bet on as well, so you can sort of see what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
Then you can watch it on Trackside, Channel 64. They've got a
Yep.
premiere for it if you are watching from the couch, or via our stream with the Alternative Commentary Collective and Boys Get Paid. That'll be on both of our social Facebook pages.
Yeah, nice.
Both the Instagram accounts as well, for some behind the scenes of how stressed I am and how much I'm sweating. And so that's probably the best way to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
And then obviously enter via the TAB website. And once we know what's in that kitty, which we're thinking around 1.5 to 1.7, then we've got to build a bit of a strategy of, okay, how are we going to attack this race down? We've already put 2 bets on already.
Yep.
And we'll be like, we always try and have a crack. We're not there to pretend that we're some sort of pro punters and we're going to, try and, just dilly-dally around. Like, we want to give people a bit of a thrill, and we'll have to put the balls on the line.
Right, so you've already got 2 bets on. What are they, and why have you placed them so early?
Yeah, so we put a futures bet on, and basically what that means is, should the horse not actually start in the race, like if it gets injured today, we're done, like we lose our dough.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's a very loose plan. It's the first time I've actually done it, but basically you get higher odds because you're betting on the fact that it even turns up into the race. So
Yeah,
we put
right.
$50,000 on a 2-year-old horse called Cool and Fast at $21 to win $1 million profit.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it needed to then win a race to qualify.
Oh, so you put it on before it had even qualified?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like on the day where it finally raced, it was just labouring around the 600, and we're like, oh, geez, is this going to be please explain, why have you guys backed this horse? We've done our 50K. But it got up and it won, so it qualified for the race. It was sort of tick 1 there.
Okay.
But it needs to get to the race obviously on Saturday and still win that to get paid. So it's all for nothing if it doesn't. But we've got
an armoured guard to follow it?
yeah, we've basically got we've got the overs is what we say in racing. So now it's over the odds because we got 21s around it, and it'll start around $7, I would say.
Okay.
So that's our first bet, and that was just a bit of a speaky play of like, we think that could be the one.
Yeah.
And if we've got 1.5 million to spend, let's carve off 50 grand and give the punters something to cheer home.
Yeah.
And luckily we've sort of got it right so far, but again, it has to win. And then secondly, we had watched a horse trial up really well down the Manaia 2, and you could get $14 around this horse to win one of those races. So we lobbed $100,000 on that at 14s to win 1.4 million. Now that will be the biggest payout from the TAB in their history.
Wow.
Should it win, that'll be the biggest profit that they've had to let go of. And that's called Faraleone, and it's in race number 3, I think it is, and it's now into about $6 to win that race. So it's probably like a genuine $6 to $8 chance, but again, we've got that sort of overs at 14s, and if it can get the job done, hell of a story there.
Yeah, and just one other quick question around that. If you win on one of the earlier races, are we reinvesting?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we're building that kitty, because after both those races, like say they both won, which would be unbelievable.
Yes.
We're going to have $2 million clean of profit that we can, really launch into something.
Reinvest.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I enjoy that. And I heard a rumour that you're looking at trying to put on the biggest punt in history or something.
Yeah, tried to do it last night actually, and they wouldn't have it. So we get a little bit cheeky. So basically, the 2 really good horses, Crickety and Legato, if you multi those together, you're getting about $2.10. So in front of everyone, I'm saying to the head bookmaker, if you give us $3, we'll have the biggest bet in TAB history. And he was basically just like, fuck off, mate. Like we're not doing that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But the biggest bet is actually $400,000 on an All Blacks game, I believe, or a World Cup game from 20. I don't know. I actually can't remember.
That's the record at the TAB so far?
Yeah, so that's and it was a winning bet too. I'll have to find out what exactly it was, but If we bet past that 400, then we will set the record of basically the biggest bet that's happened in the country.
When you place a bet that big, is it just the same as when I put my little $10 shot on the Warriors, or is there a different process?
There's a little bit behind the scenes. So basically, like, we've got limits around like what we can win and what we can punt to what sort of odds and stuff.
Right.
Most people don't understand or realise too. The TAB system's like capped at winning $1 million. So if we bet to win past $1 million, the system can't handle it. So then we've got to basically jump on the phone and be like, let's navigate this.
Right.
But what happens with a big bet, or even with something where they're like, whoa, this is out of the ordinary of what we'd normally expect to see. Like, say you rolled up and all of a sudden just dropped 100 G's on Johnson to get the first try in round one, they'll be like, well, hang on. So the bet refers, so it sort of spins like something's loading, and what's loading in the background is like, hey guys, back channel TAB, like, what's going on here? Do we accept this? Do we not?
It's Paul Moati running around with his hair on fire.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what's happening.
Do we take it? You know, what do they know that we don't? So they obviously know that we're going to be betting. It's not the first time we've done this. So yeah, they have a look, and basically it goes through. But we do have sort of parameters we've got to play in.
That makes sense, because if $100 came in, $100,000 came in on like a $41 rough shot from an account that had never bet before, we'd be like, oh, hang on.
Yeah.
But I guess, but if it's from the boys get paid and they already know, look, these guys are looking to set the record. Then they'll still be a little bit iffy about it, but I always wondered that kind of thing. Like, it can't just be the same as me putting my $10 shitty shot on. But when you're playing with this kind of money, and obviously the big events on Saturday, you mentioned you're starting to get a little bit nervous now. What does prep look like going into Saturday? And do you sleep on a Friday night?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. Like, it's sort of turned into part of my role as part of the punters club. So there's a few of us that pick the selections, and I'm now almost like doing the media pieces and hyping it up and making sure that we're explaining to people how to get involved and things like that. So I was just saying before, a little bit like a pinball in this week where I'm bouncing between different things, which is really, really fun. And it's cool to see more people interested in racing and in the Karaka Millions. But yeah, I'll try and get up, get into the gym, try and get to bed nice and early, and
stay awake all night.
Yeah. But I woke up at 2 a.m. last night, for instance, and I'm awake for about half an hour, and there's just like horses running through my brain and scenarios. And I have to try and tell my brain, like, stop thinking. Like, that's literally what I say to myself, because it just keeps coming.
There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, but the dreams will start happening, and we get there Saturday. We obviously kick off about midday, 12:30 at Sweatshop.
Yeah.
Probably a couple of zeros to start with, and then ease into a couple of beers later in the afternoon, loosen the shoulders, and then start lobbing some $200,000 or $500,000 bets. Let's roll.
Brilliant. All right, we're going to be live streaming the whole thing as well, as you mentioned, on Boys Get Paid and on the ACC Facebook too. Otherwise, we may see you down on the track, and in the meantime, get involved in the Punters Club on the TAB account. Follow the Boys Get Paid, and we'll see you then. Thanks very much for coming in, Luke.
Good luck to the punters.
Cheers, mate.
You've been listening to the ACC's Agenda podcast. For more episodes, subscribe on iHeartRadio or wherever you get your podcasts.